question to any Egypt-centric Negro or those of you that are of that persuasion is this.
And you a Hebrew Negro or not?
Did they ever find the bones of Norma, the first Egyptian pharaoh? Did they ever find the bones? So, all right. So then, no. Wait a minute.
Or listen. Let me add on to that. Or the first or second dynasty. Any of the families of the first or second dynasty in Egypt, where the bones fall to them? The first dynasty, the second dynasty, where's the bones for those guys?
Big dummy, you're not even a cool dummy. You're just a big, ordinary, plain dummy.
They don't exist. Therefore, they don't exist because you don't have the bones for those people.
I'm one of the black people that you don't know are out there, okay? I got many ways to go about uploading stuff, because unlike what you think we are, I'm no dumb nigga. I know a lot of shit.
Let's begin with the predynastic period. The predynastic period began around 5000 BC and ended around the year 3000 BC.
Just to give you a bit of an idea of the chronology, we're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. And it's amazing we have even some of these pieces because it is really a long time ago. And much of the art is made from pottery, bone, ivory, and some stone. To draw your attention to the predynastic period, you can see that it's divided into a series of stages. This is in the Delta area, and these are all in Upper Egypt, that is, in the southern part of the country.
During this era, there were several different periods of people. The first occurring between the years 5000 and 4400 BC, the Badarians. A semi-nomadic people, the Badarians formed small settlements on the eastern bank of the Nile, and had some of the first documented burials. The remains were discovered on the outskirts of their nomadic dwellings known to us today as pit graves. They even honored their deceased domesticated animals with ceremonial burials. While their human burials were simplistic at best, they did not mummify their dead as typically portrayed in Hollywood films. Instead, they placed the bodies of their deceased into pits with the heads facing west towards the sun. This culture is one of the first to honor their dead with grave goods found within the pits themselves. And for those budding historians who don't know what grave goods are, these are ceremonial objects placed within the graves for the newly departed. We have discovered items such as fertility idols, ceramics, and jewelry discovered deep within the pits.
This early dynastic dwarf figurine from Tel Afarka is probably no exaggeration. He probably did stand that bow-legged. And while female dwarfs are much more common among the predynastic ivories, possibly due to their association with fertility and childbirth or ritual dancing, in the court of the First Dynasty kings, it was male dwarves that were honored by burial amongst the retainers around the royal tombs and commemorated with high-quality stela, showing that they were valued personal attendants as they would continue to be in the Old Kingdom. But there are already several indications that our dwarf was already a very highly valued companion. Foremost amongst them is the location of his grave, which was beneath the floor of the funerary chapel appended to the tomb. Now, burial here seems to be an incredible honor, associating the dwarf intimately with the owner of Tomb 16 in death, as he no doubt was in life.
Moving into the early dynastic period, that is dynasties 1 and 2, as you remember, this is the beginning of the first pharaohs that are documented in Egyptian history. Ancient Egyptians start with Aha in dynasty 1, and so that's where the line is drawn here. The two big sites from the early dynastic period are Saqqara, you recognize the step pyramid, and this is the uncovered tomb of Den at Abydos.
Jer was the second king of the first dynasty. During this time, the pharaohs still ruled from Memphis. He was the son of Aha, and one of Aha's less significant wives, a woman called Hent. Jer constructed a palace at Memphis where he governed Egypt for 50 years. He also led a successful military campaign in Sinai at the Battle of Hexus. Jer was married to Queen Hernith. He was entombed in a mortuary complex which is said to be the true grave of the deity Osiris. Pharaoh Jer's long rule was a period of great success in all aspects of society, such as art, workmanship, science, and medicine. Jer himself was a great physician and had many compositions about the treatment of diseases that were used for some 3,000 years after his death. Jer's tomb at Abydos was perhaps the largest and most complex of those established during Egypt's first dynasty, and was even accompanied with the sacrificial burial of 318 of Jer's retainers within close proximity. Jer is accredited with initiating the long-standing Old Kingdom tradition of enveloping the royal tomb with markers and expressions of grandeur. Jer's legacy and the significance of his tombs, however, were dramatically transformed over 1,000 years later during the Middle Kingdom's 13th dynasty. The Egyptians of antiquity were well aware that the el-Ga'ab site at Abydos contained the grave site of Egypt's first kings, and at some point during the 11th dynasty, for reasons we only speculate upon, they selected the site of Jer's tomb to represent and serve as the ceremonial burial chamber and tomb of the great god Osiris. At this point, the attention given to the tomb was rather minimal, though we can see some limited dedications, such as an offering table attributable to the 11th dynasty pharaoh Mentuhotep III, and a stele believed to have been contributed by 12th dynasty pharaoh Amenemhet II. As Jer's tomb exceedingly became a focal point for the cult of Osiris, it became necessary to preserve the perceived sanctity of the land by outlawing the construction of individual tombs in the enveloping area. 13th dynasty pharaoh Waggoth even erected 4 stelae at el-Ga'ab, marking the land as sacred and threatening potential profaners with the punishment of death, apparently allowing Egyptians to attend the site as long as they were either paying tribute to Osiris or participating in the renowned festival of Osiris. In 1895, the tomb of Jer was excavated by Emil Emiliano, who originally believed it to hold the remains of Osiris. He was a very poor archaeologist and cleared out the tomb between January 1st and January 12th, keeping only the complete objects and discarding entire hordes of artifacts that he felt had no value. He found a small statue and a skull in one chamber of the tomb and quite arbitrarily decided that he had found the tomb of Osiris himself.
Because we believed in the resurrection.
The tombs were completely re-excavated by Flinders Petrie in 1900, who found many things that Emiliano had overlooked or discarded. The volumes he produced to document the excavation became the model for future archaeological work. One of the most curious tales of early archaeology at Abydos is the case of the missing arm. British archaeologist Flinders Petrie, who took over excavations at Abydos in 1899, was a much more careful and methodical digger than Emiliano, and he went back and re-excavated many of Emiliano's sites to document them properly. In the tomb of First Dynasty Pharaoh Jer, he found a mummified arm adorned with beautiful gold and jeweled bracelets tucked into a small hole in the wall of the tomb. He thought it was the arm of Jer's queen. Others have speculated it might have been the arm of Jer himself, or perhaps just a noble entombed near the king. The truth may never be known. When Petrie dutifully sent the arm, its linen wrappings, and the bracelets to the Cairo Museum, the curator cut away the bracelets for display and simply threw away the old arm and linen. As Petrie summed up those times, a museum is a dangerous place.
So stop complaining, bitching, and moaning. You just mad because I'm not dick gripping. Only you Bible-thumping, Quran-reading, Torah-seeking faggots. You niggas is fucked up, Joe. Straight up. You niggas is fucked up.